All right, welcome everybody. We're waiting for our guest Michael to join in, and today's Blab with Bacon, as usual, is sponsored by not Minicam. It's actually sponsored by Bacon Coach and Bacon Podcast. So if you got any questions, come on, jump in. And looking forward to blabbing with Michael this morning. And let's see. What's happening here? Morning. Welcome. We got one person calling in, and that would be Michael. Hey, Michael.
Yay.
There he is. He's here.
Awesome.
How are you,
Thanks.
Michael?
Let me get my webcam adjusted there.
Sounds good.
Better.
Well, welcome to CBS, the Central Bacon Studios. And so, how you doing this fine morning?
I'm awake.
Awake
Yeah,
is good.
It
Is always good. Yeah. So, are you on Central Time too?
I'm in
like
Austin.
me? Yeah. Yep. Okay. Cool. Austin, beautiful city. So, did you go to South by
I
Southwest?
did not. I haven't been yet. I've lived here 2 years now, and I haven't gone. I probably should. I just didn't make it.
I mean, if it's in your city, I'd figure you would have gone. But
Yeah, it's kind of like living in Southern California and never going to Disneyland.
right. I
Yeah.
guess that's true. Well, thanks for taking a shower and getting
I
dressed.
appreciate it. Well, my wife thanks you.
Yeah, I bet. So how did you start out becoming the underwear entrepreneur? How did that start?
That's kind of a funny backstory, at least from my perspective. I was involved in a mastermind group back in 2008, 2009 with John Osseroff, back when he had one coach. And
You locked up there, so we lost you.
I'm not there now?
I don't know if you can hear me or not, but
can't.
I heard 2008, 2009, and you went
Can
out.
you hear me?
So you might have to... Oh, there you are.
Okay.
You're back. Yeah, so you said 2008, 2009.
Yes,
so.
and I used to get up in the mornings and work out. I had a gym in my basement and a steam shower. And after I'd work out, I'd go take a steam and a lot of times go upstairs in a towel, sit down at my desk and start working, and sometimes be there till noon. It was back before Skype, and so nobody came to my home office, so it didn't really matter. And so we got together for a live meeting of the mastermind group out in Los Angeles, and one of my fellow mastermind attendees kind of threw me under the bus and said that I was showing up for all of our group calls naked, and that we had decided as a group that all future group calls were going to be naked. And you could have heard a pin drop in the room.
I bet.
So,
was it all men, or were there any women in the group? Oh.
And actually, there were two mastermind groups combined for this live meeting. So 2 separate ones. Mm-hmm. And I think there were 5 or 6 people in each group. And we were set up in a U shape in this hotel conference room. And John and his partners were across from us. And then the other group was at the bottom of the U. And we were sitting across from them, and the looks on their faces were priceless. I mean, so it was kind of funny. And I thought the underwear entrepreneur was a better visual than the commando entrepreneur. So,
yeah.
But
So how many times you get asked boxer or brief?
Actually, boxer briefs. So
boxer briefs. Yeah. There you go.
It covers everything.
So, it does. Yeah, it does. It covers the full gamut,
literally and figuratively.
Exactly.
But I think it's all it's a mindset. You know, the ability to work from home and not have a strictly enforced dress code. I'm a firm believer that substance is more important than style, and as such, I get to work in shorts and a t-shirt most days, which isn't a bad thing from my perspective. And there are occasions when I get dressed up and actually venture out of my little cocoon here.
Yeah, occasionally I see on Facebook and, with your lovely wife out and about doing stuff, which is good. It means that you are not cocooned in
No,
your
not
room.
at all. I do try to, I literally force myself to get out and go have meetings, meetup groups, whatever, meet people for coffee. I'm a social animal who works by himself. So it's been an adjustment, but one that I'm happy to make.
Well, good. So the main theme that I wanted to talk to you today was about digital publishing. I mean, we all know that, magazines are going by the wayside, and, people are reading more and more books and stuff on their Kindles and on their iPads and, even their iPhones and stuff like that. And then, so you work with a company that does digital magazines. And so tell me about the origin of that. Where and how did that start? And, what's happening today?
Ironically, I happened to meet my partner, Larry Jenkin, the CEO of 11 Media, at a One Coach event out in San Diego about 8 years ago. And we became fast friends. We're both from I'm from Central Pennsylvania. He went to school at Penn State, which is 30 miles away from where I grew up. He's from the Philadelphia area originally, and we just became friends. So we've maintained contact over the last 8 years. And back in 2013, I was kind of working as an unpaid advisor to him as a friend. He'd bounce things off of me, and we'd continued to keep in contact over the years, as I said. And in 2014, I became an investor in the company and invested 4 separate times. And I'm also a publisher using their technology. And midway through 2015, we changed the direction of the company. Our technology was originally developed for our own internal use, and we decided to open it up to outside publishers, which meant that we literally had to completely restructure the application so that it could be used by outside people. And so we released version 2.0 at the end of December of 2015, and have been getting a lot of traction. And we recently signed a deal that we worked on for about 6 months we set up a separate joint venture company. We have access to a rather extensive database of opt-in email addresses, and we are now able to guarantee publishers who use our technology, and we have different levels from free, the very basic level, which is free for publishers to use, and it's done by you type service, up to a completely done for you service, which is obviously the paid service. And then there's a middle version. So we can guarantee a 50% up to 100% increase in subscribers based on the database that we have access to and that we can offer to those publishers. Pretty exciting. These are all opt-in email addresses, and we have the ability to gather a great deal of demographic information of our readers and subscribers into our publications. So we have roughly 21 publications that we do in-house, and we have licensed our technology to third-party publishers. A friend of yours, as a matter of fact, was one of the first significant ones. And so that's kind of the 36,000-foot overview. Print magazines are suffering serious declines in both ad revenue and readership, but digital magazines are predicted to grow 20% a year for the next 5 years. So by 2020, that segment of digital publishing or digital printing, for lack of a better word, is forecasted to be about $33 billion a year. So it's a significant opportunity in terms of growth potential and ongoing year-over-year growth as well.
So what are some of the magazines that you're doing internally?
I have 2 myself. Crushing It magazine, which is targeted the top 1% of successful people, and Virtual Company, a magazine near and dear to my heart. It's targeted to solopreneurs, home-based business owners, and people who run virtual businesses, which is a rapidly growing segment of the U.S. demographic.
Interesting. So what's the URL of, because I'm really interested in the second one.
Virtual
What's
Company?
the URL of that?
www.virtualcompanymag.com.
companymag.com. So I could put links in here, so I'm
Sure.
typing it in. And let's put it up there. Heads up. Okay. Anyways, it should have showed up in. I thought it was going to show up. It said drop in any link. I guess I have to drop it in, so I got to go there first. But okay. Well, then tell me about that mag, because I want to learn a little
Sure.
bit more about that one.
I mean, it's designed to provide. I mean, I think one of the things that we're witnessing happening, particularly in my age demographic, mid 50s, is with corporate downsizing and some of the other things going on in the economy, lots of people are being shown the door, and their first inclination is to start their own business. And if they've worked in a large corporate environment their entire careers, they don't know what they don't know. And working from home or working in a small company is vastly different. And I worked for GE for 9 years, so I've done the large corporate thing, and I've worked for mid-sized companies as well. And I've worked as a solo entrepreneur for the better part of the last 23 years. So I have the full range of experiences. And, I learned a lot of things working for a large corporation that I didn't recognize at the time, but subsequently over the last 30 years, was able to draw upon the experiences that I had while I was there. So this is kind of designed to cover all of the aspects from health insurance to motivation to organization. I mean, virtually all of the aspects of business for a small business owner who doesn't know what they don't know.
Awesome. And it's all multimedia too, because I started it up and the first thing comes up is a movie, which is kind of cool.
I mean,
Very
one of
cool.
the advantages of digital publishing is it allows us to utilize all of the aspects of the digital experience offers. And one of the things that we've done differently than all of our competitors in the digital publishing space is we developed a templating system. And this was the very foundation of our application. And that templating system allows you to input content, and it spits it out in 318 different outputs. So the content looks the same on a big screen TV as it does on a small smartphone. Now, obviously, smartphone, you have less real estate to work with. You have more pages in a smartphone digital publication than you would on a desktop publication. It's about a 50% increase. Not quite, but roughly. So if it's 100 pages on a desktop, it's about 150 pages on a smartphone. But it allows us to use audio, video, text, graphics, infographics, live video within a digital publication. And we also simultaneously developed a digital ad platform to go along. All of our publications are free to read or subscribe to, and they're ad subsidized. So the digital ads are not static ads, and they can be everything that the digital publication can be. So audio, video, text, graphics. We could do webinars within the application without leaving the application. We have e-commerce capabilities in our digital ads without leaving the application. So we've tried to cover all of the potential bases. Of 11's background is that they were a print publisher before they decided to become a digital publisher, and they started that transition about 4 years ago. And I would like to think that we've covered almost all the bases. I won't say 100%, but 99 and 5 nines anyway.
Yeah, I mean, the magazine itself is beautiful. I mean, it's very cool the way it moves, and just really, it's better obviously than anything I've seen before.
Well, thank you.
So you're welcome. So how are you finding the people to give you the content?
Leveraging networks. I mean, I'm always on the search. I have a call this afternoon with a local person who is in the solopreneur space, and we're talking about content contributions. Between Larry's network and my network of contacts that we've both developed over the last 25, 30 years, I mean, we haven't had much issue getting content contributors. And I'm always looking for more different aspects. I mean, I've put together a document for both magazines that covers the targeted audience and the subject matter covered. And it lays out, it's like a 4-page document. It lays out all the content contribution guidelines, word counts, document submission, etc. We generally go out and find the graphics to put in the stories. And I think if you'll look through any given story in any of the magazines, it's very graphic intense. And we've tried to pick out relevant graphics for each of the individual stories. And I'd like to think that, we've done a pretty good job for the most part.
Yeah, no, it's very, very nice. Very, very nice. Hey, do me a favor and send me the document, and I'll put it in the show notes when I put up the replay of the Blab. That way, we'll make sure we get that out there.
Happy to do that.
That's awesome. So, yeah, I mean, it's nice. It's kind of cool just the way you scroll through the story and stuff like that.
Yeah, you scroll up and down for individual stories and side to side for in between stories, and ads are interspersed within the stories and in between the stories.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very nice. And just kind of focusing around. So it's very, very cool. So what are some of the uses that you're seeing some other people using this magazine platform? I know the one is Ken MacArthur, who's having his Impact event. He's doing the Impact magazine. That's where I tried to connect you up with somebody who I knew was looking or using a platform and had been using yours, that's perfect.
It's pretty funny because it's not really a huge ecosystem, and he was using one of our competitors' products before, so and decided to change, and.
He seems pretty happy.
He does. So. I've been on some conversations with him. We have some weekly, like, office hour calls where people can call in and ask questions of regarding the platform and its uses and its applications. As I mentioned, it was designed originally for digital magazines. However, when we went back and re-engineered it and moving forward, I can see it being used, and we're talking to people as we speak about using it for fully interactive ebooks, newsletters, trade journals, interactive white paper, digital publishing type publication. So it's not going to be limited to magazines. We want it. I mean, our rather large goal is to have it become the de facto digital publishing platform, which is one of the reasons why the base level is free.
Right.
We want people to use it.
Yeah. So if somebody, now just from the content standpoint, and these are just maybe some off the cuff, maybe wild questions. Somebody uses your platform. They put up, copywritten material, and it's not they don't have any access or rights to it. Are you guys shielded from all that stuff?
That's a good question, and I don't have the answer to it, unfortunately, and it's not come up. I'll find out.
Yeah, I just the only reason I say that is because I got hit with the scam of the graphic sitting in the background that nobody could see. That was a combination of two, and I got a letter from a company called Masterfile, and I thought they were soliciting my business when they were sending me a $12,000 bill for one graphic. And so that was one of the things I've learned is over the course of time is that if you link to a graphic, like a graphic is sitting up on a website and you basically copy and paste the link, you're fine. You're allowed to do that via the copyright law. I get hit up by a company called Cartoon Stock all the time because they say, hey, you're using this illegally. It's like, it's linked. It's not sitting on my server. So that brought me to the second piece of the question is, are all these, when somebody joins this magazine, you're managing all that file space, right? So you're serving this up and all that stuff. So you have the bandwidth to cover, I imagine, millions of hits a day and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah. So what are some of the other, uses or aside from what you guys are doing? Because I've seen all of your magazines. What are some of your customers using them for? What have you seen so far?
We're having lots of different conversations with lots of different people. There is a huge number of print publications. One of the problems that the print publishing industry is facing is that you've got declining readership of your print versions, yet they derive 80% of their ad revenue from those print versions. So they're reluctant to bite the hand that feeds them, so to speak. Yet they're not monetizing the digital versions of those print publications. They're literally giving the ads away to the advertisers as a kind of an additional incentive. So they're not monetizing their digital versions, which are the growing versions, yet, so it's kind of a death spiral for them, quite frankly. And they've been relatively slow to react, which is somewhat surprising to me, quite frankly, because we've been having conversations for almost a year with some of the top print publishers, and we've literally contacted all 25 of the top print publishers in North America, and we've been involved in conversations with the top 2 for a number of months, and they move glacially slow. I mean, it's unbelievable to me.
Well, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, I mean, there's a very, very few companies that are independent. I mean, a lot of these are owned by media conglomerates, and like any typical business model, they just, like you said. I mean, I worked for AT&T, and AT&T, getting that company to do anything was like trying to turn a destroyer around, or what do you call those airplane ones? I'm like
aircraft
having
carrier?
a brain cramp. Thank you. And I played Battleship when I was a kid, an aircraft carrier. It's like trying to turn an aircraft carrier when, there's a bunch of like PT boats buzzing around, and so that's kind of tough. But what about some of the smaller companies that you've seen? I mean, what are they, how are they using this?
I mean, again, we just released version 2 at the end of December, so we're relatively early in the process, quite frankly. I'm working on a couple of additional publications with a friend of mine. One will be targeted to large networking type events all over the country, like South by Southwest, which ironically I didn't attend. But others like CEO Space and Secret Knock and some of those types of events. So, and all the internet marketing events that, traffic and conversion and all of the other ones that at least the people in the space are familiar with.
Gotcha.
So we hope to have that done in the next couple months. We're doing the foundational stuff right now. We're also working on one for a fellow blog / podcaster to you who has a program, and they are doing profiles a la, this is going to date me a little bit, but the old doers profiles from the 60s and 70s in print magazines. So we're doing something similar to people that he's had on his show, those types of profiles. So be pictures and question and answers and that kind of stuff. So.
Right. And I've seen some models where, people in our space or my space actually are using it as a money-making opportunity where they're charging people X amount of dollars to be included in the magazine. So they can basically, it's an advertorial where they can buy space. And there's a print publication out here called the Business Ledger, which does the same thing. If you want to get shown in there, it's like $4,000 or $5,000. If you want to be on one of their panels, you've got to pay $4,000 or $5,000. And it's crazy. It
is crazy. You can use our base version for free. So, and quite frankly, I can see digital publications being used as authority pieces for a lot of people that are, a lot of business people, either those that are just starting out or those that are well established. So authors, speakers, podcasters. I can see the good news is there's lots of opportunity.
Right. So, let's say, I wanted to put together a product. All right. So I've got, I just finished the Bacon System book. All right. I have the Bacon System coaching. What if I put out a digital magazine? Is there a model for me to sell this? So in other words, I want to put in all the content that I have and make it a self-paced study course. It'll have the videos, it'll have the audios, it'll have the slides, it'll have all that stuff. Since it's multimedia, is there a way to monetize that?
You can put ads in it. I mean, that's our business model. I mean, it's ad subsidized. So whatever content is put onto our platform is going to have ads in it.
Gotcha. Okay. So the free version, obviously, you get to pick all the ads and stuff
and we do share ad revenue even on the free version.
Oh wow!
Very little, little, but we do share some, and it goes and it goes down from there. The paid versions, we get less of the ads, but that's the mother's milk of our business model.
Right. So I'm assuming on the free version, you have to take care of all of the art and all of the content and stuff like that, or do you guys provide any help with that?
Well, yeah, as a service. I mean, but it's completely done by you. I mean, it's
Got it.
you input your content and your graphics into our application, and we're working on a templating system right now where we will have a number of templates, and I think we are just about to release a handful of them. And there's going to be the doer's profile type template that I'm working on, so that we can just plug the information in and away we go. So
if somebody needed some hand holding, I mean, what's the price point like? So say somebody wanted to do a digital magazine but didn't want to do all the work.
It's a pay for service type situation where it's based on
articles, number of articles, amount of content.
And if I'm not mistaken, and I'd have to look at because it's changed over the last couple of weeks with the release of this new program. I think it's a per page. It's on a per page basis, so it's not an hourly thing. We're charging X amount of dollars per page, and I don't recall what the figure is off the top of my head.
Okay, well, it's just good to know what the model is. So if somebody wanted to do something like this,
it's all on their website. The rate sheet, everything is there. So and I believe that the rate sheet lists the cost per license and per 12 pack of licenses, which is, I think, about a 50% reduction from the single use license. And then I was going to say, I believe the services.
So your 12 pack.
I believe the services are listed right below the pricing for the.
So the 12 pack would be like if somebody wanted to do a monthly magazine, that would be a 12 pack for a year. So you're paying based on
if they didn't do it monthly, if they did it quarterly, then it would last, a couple of years. So.
Gotcha.
But
yeah, so they're basically prepaying to get a lower price. Okay, makes sense. And so what is your with your magazines, what kind of reach are you getting with them? I mean, how many people are subscribing? How many new subscribers are you seeing? What kind of, and also how are you marketing this? I mean, that's another thing, because you've got your magazines that you're doing. Up
to this point, it's all been organic growth by use of social media. So a lot of guerrilla marketing. We kind of put releases of new magazines on hold while we finished up version 2.0, because it didn't make sense to continue developing stuff on the old platform when we were getting ready to switch over. So I've got in development version or issue 3 of both of my publications right now, and I'm working on getting content to put in them. My goal is to get this to be a monthly publication. And when we get to that point in the foreseeable near future, we'll have the ability to go back and add in subscriber-only content in between issues to keep it fresh, so that we can continue to promote it. And all the prior, I mean, our issues have numbers, not dates. So for that reason, quite frankly, one of my fellow publishers just released their 5th issue. So. I'm doing this along with about 50 other things. So I need to now start spending more time on content and getting additional subscribers into the platform. I've been out actively promoting the technology for the last 3 months. So
sure. Well, that makes sense.
Not to answer your question, but I don't have subscriber figures in front of me, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I mean, we are a self-funded and angel-funded startup that's 4 years old. And so we've done as much as we can internally, and it's been slow, quite frankly. But we are somewhat reluctant to go out and seek VC funding for a lot of reasons. We've done all of this work on not a significant amount of money in total, which is good for those of us who are invested.
So it's bootstrapping pretty much.
Exactly.
Right? But now you're at a point where you're trying to get the word out a little bit more and let people see the power of this. Have you done any webinars on the platform?
We haven't yet. And we are still working on implementing. I mean, there are a couple features that were in version 1 that aren't live yet in version 2. One of them being a feature called lightning leads, where there's a little lightning bolt on an advertisement, and a reader can click that lightning bolt and all of their information is forwarded like a lead to the advertiser. So
that's cool.
That's not enabled yet, but will be. I mean, we have obviously a large list of features, and when we have conversations with different types of people, like, coming out with an ebook version, we're looking for publishing partners for those types of products to help work with us to develop them. And so the priority of those types of improvements will be based on, the need, I guess.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of, some of the general uses, like, you mentioned ebooks. I mean, I'm writing, obviously you could put an ebook up on Amazon and sell it for $2, or you could do something like this and actually publish the ebook, have videos embedded in there,
interviews with the
advertising.
author, audio clips. All kinds of features, and put ads in it and make more money than you're going to make off Amazon. So.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying, is if you could link it back to, whatever it is, and people could actually read this, and it doesn't require any kind of special plugin, I'm assuming, to use on any browser.
It is browser based. It's not an app, so it works on anything. Right. And it was was a conscious decision that we made in the very beginning.
Is that something that, are you going to look into adding an app in the future?
I don't know that there would be any benefit to doing so, quite frankly. We will more likely partner with somebody who already has an app. And we've had a couple of those conversations and might be having one later this week. We'll see.
Gotcha.
But at the end of the day, we recognize that, and this to be true, content is king. And to further elaborate, high quality, timely, relevant content with actionable advice is the emperor. And that's what we're striving to do, is to provide, that type of high quality content.
Mm-hmm. So the authors who get into the magazine and stuff like that, how actively are they promoting? Are they promoting that they're in the mag?
They are. Helping? I mean, we've got social share buttons on every story, and we provide them with a link to their story so that they can actively promote it as well. So each story has its own URL.
It does. Okay, cool.
And so we have a little document that when we publish it, we send it out to all the content providers. Here's the link to your story. Please promote it. And
nice.
We have an affiliate program for advertisers and people who bring subscribers into the publication. It's 2-tier. It's lifetime. It's free to sign up for, so there's really no reason not to. And our content providers are not compensated. They are, however, provided an About the Author page or a couple pages where they can, high-res headshot, short bio, and links to anything they want to promote. And we encourage them to become advertisers as well. So,
it's it's a sweet system. I mean, I'm playing around with it, just kind of, that's why my head has turned, people. Sorry, but it's something. And I put a link. Can you see the link on there that people click that it'll actually open in their browser? Yeah. So that's something new in Blab, which I like. So yeah, I can see a ton of potential for this. I mean, a lot of different ways. Like you said, creating a magazine with authors of people that are going to speak at a conference. I mean, that would be just that's a no-brainer. You do, everybody who's going to speak at the conference writes an article up front, and the ads inside of it are to the conference,
or to books that they've printed, or
right. Or so at least it's links to the conference so they could sell something, and when the conference is over, you keep that, or you go in and change the ads out to maybe some affiliate products or whatever it is. So I could see the shelf life of something like that. So it's not only just for the conference, but after the conference as well. And so every conference has its own online magazine rather than printing out here's our program. You could have the entire program inside of there. You could have, there's tons of.
There's lots of potential applications, and that's one of the reasons that I'm so excited about this project, is because it has a huge amount of upside potential.
Yes, it does. And so that's one way I could see it being used. Like I said, as an author, I could see taking my book, throwing it in here, doing, mini interviews throughout the entire thing so that people get a little bit more, and then advertise towards, because the book actually is part of a coaching program. It's a 12-step program. And I spoke to a nonprofit group the other day about the program, expecting them to laugh when I said it's a 12-step program. They all just went, huh?
It was over their head.
Yeah, I think so. It's like, come on, people. You're in the nonprofit world. Everybody knows a 12-step program. But, so it's a 12-step program that I wrote the 12 chapters based on. It was probably the easiest book I've ever written because I had all the content done for all the training, and all I did was just write the content. Basically I read the PowerPoints and just gave it a little bit of, twist to it. So, I got all the media. I've got videos, I've got audios, I've got slides, I've got the print. I mean, there's so many different things that I could do. I could see putting together this heavy duty multimedia book where people can get at it with everything in one place. And then of course, try to convince them that, the one thing that's not included in that is my time. And that's really what I'm selling is one-on-one coaching. And I could see this being used by other coaches in a very, very similar way. And,
the smart ones anyway.
So it's just, right, exactly. Yeah, because because I'm a quote unquote, and I wouldn't call myself an incredible influencer, but I'm an influencer. I mean, I've got podcasts, I've got all this other stuff. Whenever I post anything, I get hit up with a lot of people that are trying to sell me something. A lot of times it's trying to sell themselves to come on my podcast to sell their stuff, and generally speaking, I don't take people that I've never met, know, like, and trust. And that's one of the things I love about this Blab segment is that I get a chance to, meet people and say, okay, you'd be a good fit for this, and like for you, I mean, if you guys ever decide to do a webinar, you would be a good fit for my audience to do a webinar for my audience.
Well, I can certainly discuss that with Larry, and we do presentations, which are webinars, for lack of a better word, on a weekly basis. So we're always pitching this to somebody.
Right, exactly. And that's essentially, what I'm saying is that, this is the reason I bring it up is because a guy who's in the coaching space hit me up and tried to sell me a app for coaches. And I said, he says, do you want to buy? Here's how much. And I said, dude, can we at least shake hands before you try sticking your tongue down my throat?
Buy me dinner first, please.
Right, exactly, yeah. And so, and I looked at it and saw what his app was. And I mean, it's kind of cool, but it's like, okay, he's sitting here saying it's going to bring you all this ROI and all this other stuff. And I'm going, I don't see how.
Exactly.
I can't, I'm not seeing the model on that. Where something like this, coaches could actually probably get good clients if they have great content that they're producing.
It's an exposure vehicle, quite frankly. I mean, it's another piece. Another piece of the puzzle. I mean, I have no illusions that it's going to be the end all, but it's a pretty solid platform. It's a content delivery platform. That's how I look at it.
And the way you say that is so perfect, because the way the Bacon system is set up is part one is what I call the marketing trifecta. You got to have a home base. You got to have some place to draw people to. It's a landing page, your website, whatever it is, because that's the place you're going to sell something. This is having advertisements, without a home base, there's no place to go. So then the second part is creating content, generating great content, which is writing, podcasting, reading, all of those kind of things. And then finally, it's the content delivery methods. And this is just another one of those content delivery methods. So we got I think it's a question, but so let me see if I can just drag this over. I don't know if I can or not. No, I can't. It says, you just hit the nail on the head. There's so many coaches out there who don't actually have content, let alone be good. So would this help those that do stand out? And I want a speaker. Yeah,
absolutely.
I totally think it would be something like that. Because that's why I brought Michael on is, I thought that, this would be a really good and cool, different way of looking at your content. Because that's one of the things I'm always looking for. I generate tons of content. I'm always looking for new platforms for it, because the more you get it out there, the bigger reach you have,
It's all about exposure.
And so, it is all about exposure. It says
underwear entrepreneur.
Underwear. Right, exactly. There's your tagline. It's all about exposure from the underwear entrepreneur.
I am going to take that as a matter of fact.
You're more than welcome to. You can have it. That's my gift for you for being on the show. Okay.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. So, but I'm excited about it because I think that there's a lot of uses, and I think that, one of the opportunities that you have is getting into those niches, and so that's why I want to find ways to hopefully introduce you to some of those niches in one way, shape, or form.
I appreciate
and
that.
Figure out it's a way to just but if you try, it's like anything else in marketing. One of the first thing I teach is if you're going to be successful, you have to understand your avatar first. That is absolutely number one. Now, you obviously have identified the avatar of the, top 50 digital or, print publications out there. That's an avatar.
Yeah.
That's one avatar. But everybody's got multiple avatars. I mean, if you could get to coaches with content, if you could get to, like you said, organizers of trade shows or organizers of conferences and stuff like that, and, give them a reason to why this is going to replace whatever it is that they're doing. It's going to be more cost effective. It's going to make them more money, and get a couple of prove-ins in that field. And you're
think about it. What does it cost to print, not only print, but ship print publications? I mean, shipping costs generally are about the same as the print costs. We had a conversation with a large corporation, and they would ideally and ultimately, I hope, will use our platform to do workbooks for their training programs, and they can be interactive workbooks. They spend $500,000 a year on print workbooks.
Sure,
50% of that is shipping costs. When they want to make a single change, it costs them about $20,000 to replace one page, and they have to do it manually.
Right.
So if they make a mistake or they need to update something, ours, you go in and change it. I mean, so they're not going to say there is going to be some cost associated with switching to a digital publication, but the ability to keep it updated on the fly nonstop is priceless. And ultimately, it's going to save them probably, I would guess, just off the top of my head, 80% of what it's costing them to print it, because they're going to be manpower cost. You're going to have a team of graphic artists, et cetera, content producers to keep it updated. But, they're already producing the content anyway. So,
exactly.
So that's another potential application to go back to the question that you asked before about a potential application, a workbook. So for training.
Yeah, no, I could see that. I mean, digital training, I could see this as absolutely. And I'm sure there's ways of actually putting, not only giving the reading component, putting the multimedia component, but they could probably put in a test component as a form, so that people, when they're done.
Textbooks, college textbooks. Not that there's not going to be significant pushback from that industry to protect, their entrenched interests, because that's a very profitable business for all of the publishers. But everybody learns differently, and we have the ability to cover virtually all the senses with a digital publication.
Right, and I think there's a lot of opportunity in that space as well, because here in Illinois, in the school district that I'm in, every kid in the school gets basically it's a win book. It's one of those mini net books, and they have to turn it in when they're done. But they're not delivering paperback books
Which
anymore.
Is smart.
It's all done through.
But the sad thing is the books that they're being delivered, I would guess for the most part, are just static pages. It's print under glass, where they've taken a PDF copy of a page out of a book and put it on a website somewhere, which is
right. And then Kindle takes it up just one notch, where now you have the ability to add hot links, where maybe some of these PDF does too, but it's a little bit more, maybe not so much hot links in a high school or college textbook. PDF gives you a little bit more ability, but this gives you, the scalable ability. So as you produce the piece, you can produce it, and then you can go back and add the videos later. You don't have to do it right away. It's great if you can, but if you can't, you can always.
You can even add course lectures into the book.
Right. Mm-hmm. It could be a self-contained class.
Yep.
I love it.
So
because I can see that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there's all kinds of uses for this, and anyways, if We've only got one other person. If you want to jump into the open seat and ask Mike some questions or maybe give some opinions, feel free to jump in the lock seat or the open seat. And I'm going to go ahead and close this for now, just so we have that one open. If you want to jump in and have any questions, go ahead. If not, that's okay. That's what Blab is. It's an open community. We've had a handful of people. Says thank you, and she enjoyed listening. So I think
thanks for coming.
Yeah. So I think this is a really cool. It's a really cool concept. I mean, like I say, the visuals that you got in there. Wherever you're getting your artwork is very stunning, very beautiful. It's not your typical, stock art stuff that you see all the time, and so it's really nice. So on your magazine, how big is the crew that's actually producing this?
We have 7 full-time employees and a number of outsourcing contractors. So we've got our CTO, who's one of the founders, and one other developer have, between the two of them, written the majority of the 1 million+ lines of code that we have in the application. And obviously they've been working on it for 4 years. So in 2 versions of it. So I don't know how many people, the back office stuff, I don't know how many people are on the team that's involved. I don't think it's very many, quite frankly. And the templating system is going to help, I won't say eliminate that, but it'll certainly even further reduce it. Once we get all the templates uploaded and the ability to just take a template and customize it, will shorten the process, of getting content onto the application.
Cool. So formatting at this point, I actually haven't tried to do one myself yet, which I'm going to. My biggest problem is time. It's like anything else.
Find an intern that likes to play with graphics.
Yeah. It's probably not a bad idea. Yeah, and just got to teach them how to do it and let it run.
It's pretty self-explanatory if they have any graphics background, but we are putting together a library of how-to videos and those types of things. So as we go along, We're continuing to add those types of features to the platform. I mean, we want it to be, user-friendly. And there are some things, at the end of the year when we were doing the final testing on version 2, I went in and developed a magazine from scratch, and I had never done that before. Obviously I had a working knowledge of the platform, but I had never gone in and physically done it. And I didn't have any problems at all. And I'm not a graphics person. So, being a publisher is a lot different from doing the design work.
Yeah. It is. Yeah, layout and art and stuff like that. There's so many different skills that, I know a little bit, but when it comes to writing, I'm not a great writer. That's why I have editors and proofreaders who actually, I learned that on my book, the first one that I did, that, I got an editor and I got a proofreader in too late, and there were just so many mistakes. But see, that's the nice thing about digital platforms is as the mistakes, people, were saying, hey, is it all right if I tell you, where your errors are? And it's like, no, send them to me, and then I basically is crowdsourcing the proofing when it was all said and done.
You and I both know that there's a huge audience of people out there that like to point out your mistakes. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And it's as long as you have a thick skin, it doesn't matter.
Hey, none of us are perfect.
Right. And so they sent it to me. I was able to go in the digital copy of it and just basically change, make the changes and get it to work the way, any of the mistakes that I found. And then basically upload it again. And, every time somebody printed on demand, that new book was there, similar to yours, which is, read on demand. It's not going to print. But that is a good question. Can if somebody wanted to print this on a color printer, you don't give them that option?
Well, for obvious reasons. Animation on some of the stories, and it would be difficult at best. And it's designed to be a digital solution. It's not a digital to print solution, because we've actually had that question asked just in the last couple of weeks. So
primarily from the print places, I'm guessing.
No, one of our partners wanted to have a hard copy of this so that they could show it off. And I said, well, we can print a cover of the copy. A high-res cover of the copy, but it's a digital publication. It's not a print/digital publication. It's a digital publication.
Right.
So it's not designed to be printed. So, I mean, I'm not going to say we're not going to change that in the future. I don't know that we'll ever get completely away from print, but I think that we're pretty rapidly moving in the digital direction. Sure. I'm a visceral type person. I like to have a book in my hands. I like to be able to look at that book and see a bookmark and know how far I'm in the book, but I'm old school. Right. So I didn't grow up with digital like, the millenniums and younger people. So I kind of straddle both worlds, but I do like print books. I mean, I collect signed copies of originals. So as you know, you sent me to.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. And I'll be sending you another one when I get the next one actually printed.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. Hey, if that's what you collect, it's all good by me. Just more exposure.
Exactly.
Especially when you did you ever get a chance to read it? No, it's fine.
It's sitting right here on my desk. Here, I'll actually hold it up for you.
Awesome. Look at that. Woo-hoo.
So I have a pile of signed copies here that I'm at various parts of reading them. So
cool. Well, I hear that because I get a lot of books from people and stuff too, and it's just finding the time to read them all is just tough. That's why I like airplanes.
Yes.
Get a chance to really kind of. Right. What's a vacation?
Yeah. Well, I have no idea. Exactly.
Solopreneurs, we don't really get them.
We get workations.
Right. That's exactly it. Yeah. I'm flying to Atlanta at the end of the month and maybe heading out to Denver, and they're workations.
Is that NAMS? 3 days, you go to NAMS?
Yeah. Okay. Going to NAMS.
Mm-hmm. What's in Denver?
And possibly the Impact event.
Okay.
That's so that's where Ken and Ken MacArthur and Ken Lovett are going to.
All right.
Yep.
Are they there? Are they based there?
No, he's based in Philly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's based in Philly, but he decided to do it out in Denver because there's a lot of influencers out there. Mm-hmm. Joel Comm, who's speaking.
Brian Johnson.
Brian G. Johnson. Yep. Right. Yep. Yeah, there's a lot of, there's a pretty heavy duty community out there.
Surprisingly. I mean, I lived there for 30 years. I just moved to Austin 2 years ago. So I knew of Joel Comm. We'd never met. And I am Facebook friends with both of them, but I haven't met Brian either. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think Joel would be a good connection for you too, because he considers himself a futurist.
Yeah,
and he's always playing with new media technologies. I mean, he's a huge blabber. He loves Periscope. He's at one time he was doing Facebook Live, Periscope, and Blab at the same time on one broadcast, and he had 3 screens set up, and he actually had a device set up for himself so that he could have his laptop, his iPad, and his phone. And he was basically broadcasting all 3 at the same time.
I have a hard. I mean. I have a hard time figuring out beyond Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn those platforms that make sense.
Yeah, well, this one I think does. I think this one has a life cycle to it. I think, and the reason is because of the first and foremost, it's the audience. This is not the best time in the world to get an audience because you're better off probably at 9 o'clock on a Tuesday night than you are at 9 o'clock on a Monday morning because everybody's hopping into work. But that's okay. I do this for the recording because that's the other thing I love about this. As soon as you're done with Blab, it'll send you a recording which I immediately put up on I go to YouTube and post it there and then link it back to my website, Blab with Bacon. So I've got the content, it's curated and it gives you an audio and a video of that. So if you wanted I know one particular person who literally does a Blab and then turns it into a podcast. And so there's, lots of different ways to repurpose it. Or you could do a Blab like this and insert it in one of your book, your magazines.
Well, my question is, what's the difference between Blab and a podcast?
Well, the difference between Blab and a podcast is people can't jump on board and basically ask questions both on the one side, and they also can't jump in the hot seat and show their faces. Where this is more of a face-to-face medium, and I consider podcasting. Broadcasting, but it's more of a monocast. It's a one-way thing where I'm talking, you're listening, and the only way you can interact with me is email me at the end.
Okay.
That's the difference. Or subscribing.
So this will likely replace podcasts in the future then, because of the interactive nature of it. Do you think?
I don't think it's going to replace podcasting. I think it's going to enhance podcasting. Okay. And the reason I say that is because there's still that component of in the gym and in the car.
Yeah.
Where people aren't going to be watching something, but
that's true.
But it may get to the point where people want to listen, so maybe they could tune in
Mm-hmm.
to this and just listen, overall. So yeah, I think this is an enhancement. I think this one's got legs. It's tightly integrated into Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
So, we can go up here and, tweet and tell people, which is something that I forgot to do when we started, but that's okay. I'm more I'm using it more as a content curation,
Mm-hmm.
where I interview you, I throw it up, it's sitting on my website, it's sitting on YouTube, and it's it's just another way to get more content out there. So it's another just method.
It's more exposure.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, says the underwear entrepreneur.
Oh, that's going to be the gift that keeps on giving.
Yes, it is. Absolutely. So, yeah, this has been fun, man. I mean, I've really enjoyed getting to know you better and get to know the magazine better, and get to look at it and play with it, and it was very cool. So I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes. And I actually submitted content to Ken for the Impact magazine, so I'm hoping that'll be my first published article.
I believe that you and I have had this conversation before about content, have we not?
I believe so.
Okay, so why is it that Ken got it first? Just out of curiosity.
Well,
I'm
because he asked.
kidding. I'm just kidding. No, I know I asked you, and I'm pretty sure I sent you the content submission.
Oh, you did, and I got tons. I got tons of content.
See,
I mean, I've got.
So I guess I have to keep on you.
Nuts.
I got to keep on you.
Yeah, well, I was so focused on doing the book and stuff like that, and Ken actually asked me back in October before we talked.
Okay,
so
sure.
It was a while ago. It was first. He was first.
Sure, it was.
He was first.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, I gave you a great gift.
I know.
Leave me alone.
I know.
So, all right. Hey, Michael, this has been a blast, man.
Thank you.
It'll be up on Blab later today,
Okay.
and I look forward to future conversations. And here's what I'm going to ask you to do. Go to b2b-im.com and look through some of the articles.
Okay.
Okay, I'll put it in the.
That would be wonderful.
I'll send it as a message. Yep.
B2B dot
dash im.com.
Okay.
Okay. /blogs.
Okay.
And you have my permission. These are my blogs are actually syndicated to Rhino Daily, Business to Community. So I already have them aggregated, going out to a handful of things. But you're welcome to, if any single one of those things sparks your eye, let me know, and I'll package it up the way you need it and send it to you.
Okay.
Because I write articles every single week.
Okay.
And usually the way I do it is I have the Bacon, Blab with Bacon, which is completely just random, the Bacon podcast, and then a blog, and then a guest expert interview, usually on a topic.
Okay.
Last week it was email marketing, and I interviewed Jack Bourne from AW Pro Tools. I've interviewed Armin Morin and some really wonderful guests. So, and that's the other thing. If you know of any guests that you think would be a good fit for the Bacon podcast, I'm always looking for people.
Well, I sent you that. I sent you the list, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. Yeah, and I've contacted most of them, and some people respond, some people don't. They're.
But it's nice to have a shopping list.
It is. It's always nice to have a shopping list.
And it was pretty extensive. I was impressed when I went through it. I went, wow.
Yeah. So, but if you come across anybody else in your travels that you think might be a good fit, it'd be,
my partner Larry would probably be a great guest for you to have on.
And I'd love to have him. Just do an introductory email between the two of us. I think it'd be great.
When I send you the content submission guidelines, I will include. He'll be carbon copied, and I'll do an introduction that way.
Perfect, man. All right. Well, this has been a blast. Thanks so much for joining, and I'll talk to you on the down low somewhere on Facebook or something.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you having me.
You're welcome, man. Take care.
You too.
Bye-bye.